People here stood and stared up in silence at the tower block today, all sharing that same sense of disbelief.
From the horror of the Grenfell fire.
To date, we've been quite disappointed with the handling of Grenfell in general. We hope that the new minister comes in and Grenfell is top of his priorities.
To the challenges faced by Generation Rent.
Since 2002, home ownership has fallen at a substantial and unprecedented pace.
I would like to look to buy, but with rent, you can't afford to save up at the same time anyway.
What are you getting for your extra £100 a month?
Absolutely nothing. I'm getting panic, fear, worry.
Without breaking that cycle, that's never going to change.
And from a shortage of affordable homes to homelessness.
In cities across Britain, homelessness is now on a scale not witnessed for decades.
Because I've not got anywhere to live, I can't get a job. That's the only thing stopping me from getting a job.
If I didn't wake up tomorrow, sometimes I think it'd be a blessing.
Housing issues are making headlines for all the wrong reasons. So what does it mean to those working at the sharp end, trying to solve them?
The housing crisis for me is a lack of housing land supply, a lack of skills and labour within the industry, and affordability issues. I think the market is completely upset.
It means that a lot of people don't have access to affordable, decent homes, and a lot more people are having to rent and spend a much greater proportion of their income than they should be on their housing costs.
We see the housing crisis every day because we've got a waiting list of people, and we have people coming to our receptions looking for a home.
We increasingly have people who can't afford to take employment because of where they live, or they can't live near to their families. I think it's a very serious problem for our country at this stage.
It really worries me that there are hundreds of thousands of young people who, unlike our generation, are going to really struggle to ever find anywhere of their own.
It means that people don't have an equality of an opportunity. It means that kids don't have somewhere to do their homework. It means that old people live in inappropriate, unheated, unmaintained accommodation.
It's a bit like putting lots of sticking plasters on a problem that needs major surgery. I can't genuinely see a way out of this unless there's a fundamental change in housing policy in this country.
It's all a far cry from the optimism of the post-war years. Slums were cleared, new social housing opportunities beckoned.
Well, I hope it won't be very long before you move into something better. All both. But the time really has come when these people who are living in these wretched slum conditions should get their fair share of the new houses.
In the 70s and 80s, the desire for home ownership would fuel and test the market.
And though builders are rapidly developing the area, there are still far more buyers than properties for sale.
Don't you think this is lovely?
And council tenants would get the chance to make their homes their own.
If you've been a council tenant for at least 3 years, you'll have the right by law to buy your house, and that's that.
Prices soared.
I've made £7,000 since I bought this flat in August. The only thing is that the next property I buy, of course, has gone up likewise.
Bubbles burst.
Sadly, when you get a rapid increase in unemployment and a fall in house prices, there are bound to be people who simply can't keep up their repayments because they've lost their incomes.
And the need for more affordable, decent homes, whether to rent or buy, is one that continues today.
This is something that has been in the making for a very long time, and I think the basic issue is supply. We just have not been building the homes that we need over decades.
But it is one of many challenges faced by both housing associations and councils.
We face funding challenges, we face planning challenges, we face challenges because of the demography. People are getting older.
There's swathes of people shut out of the housing market at the moment. We're just not building enough homes with the type of accommodation that people need.
If someone said, here's your magic wand, this is something that we can give you to make it easy, it would be land. If we could get hold of land at a competitive price, that would help us develop more homes quicker.
We have a real requirement to deliver more affordable homes, but we're doing it in the environment where we get less and less grant, and therefore we have to take much greater risks.
The challenges we face are having sufficient resources to build homes, having the wherewithal to build those homes, and having the partners willing to participate with us in achieving those aims.
We're trying to build at least 200 new homes a year, but that's not touching the demand that's out there. And the range and provision of housing is a real challenge.
We know that wages haven't kept up with price increases, and that's going to have an impact on their ability to pay for their housing now, but also if they want to move to different housing.
Housing associations play an important role in tackling the shortfall in affordable housing, but some councils are getting back to building too.
We've been pushing government for quite a long time to enable local authorities to begin to build houses again in the way that they did back in the sort of 60s and 70s when we were actually delivering over 300,000 homes, and we can do it again.
It's really practical. Like, a lot of the new places don't have very big gardens, whereas this one's, it's a big space. No one seems to believe me that it's a council house, to be honest, because they say it's so nice.
And of course, for housing providers, it's more than just providing roofs over heads.
It's as important to look at the homes you currently own and manage, and to make sure that you're working with those communities on making them sustainable and offering people life chances.
I think one of the biggest issues is, whilst there's funding for new build, funding for regeneration isn't available, and it does cost to actually invest in communities.
I think here in the north, it's more about the right homes in the right places, making sure that we've got accommodation that's linked into jobs and employment.
As a housing association, we are developing housing and services that mean that people's life opportunities and life chances improve.
The home is the building block, but a community is much more than just a collection of homes. They also need places for people to work, for people to come together in their own space, and trying to make that community vibrant and successful.
When I lived in my other house, I was sat on my own talking to four walls. And you know what four walls are, they don't answer back. But since I moved here, I can't get a word in edgewise.
There has been policies in the past that have helped but have not been enough.
Homeowners need to know that we'll do everything we can to keep the housing market moving forward. Help with stamp duty, help for first-time buyers, help to build more social housing.
Help to Buy was a really important scheme because the housing market was really not working at all.
We are not building enough homes, and this white paper is a radical blueprint to change this once and for all.
But what more needs to be done?
Politics is very short term, usually about 4 years. I'd love to see a cross-party support for affordable housing for maybe 10, 15 years and enable housing associations, give us the resources and we'll build more homes.
Politicians, they like a number. Replacement is not as sexy for politicians as a message, but we know that across the next 40 years there's a huge challenge of replacement.
It is about homes, and it's about homes that people can afford. It's about homes that are in the right place, about homes that are accessible for jobs. It's not just about numbers, it's actually about people.
We must not ignore the quality of a place and the infrastructure of a place and the living experience of a place simply to create numbers. It's making sure that there's such a range of options for people that no one's left out.
I think we solve the housing crisis through working in partnership with local authorities. We do that working with government, we do that working with house builders, and by all coming together and looking for solutions.
What we also need to do is to make sure that the housing that we've already got doesn't become unattractive and unlettable, because there's going to be more and more people needing it. And if we could culturally accept that people could rent and still be very successful in life, we need to make sure that the stock that we've got is good standard.
Grenfell, horrendous disaster, and we all know that we've got to make sure that we're not just meeting the regulations necessarily, that actually we are doing the very best that we possibly can.
The housing crisis is, of course, complex. Solutions far from simple. The challenge for housing providers, though, remains the same: finding new places and new means for people to live, and somewhere everyone can call home.